Hey, Mark Isfeld. Pink Shirt Day is coming up on February the 26th. So we interviewed people about their experiences with bullying. Let's see what they have to say. Hi, I'm here with
Mr. Holland.
Mr. Riley.
Your principal.
Mrs. Corman.
Mohandas K. Gandhi.
What are your memories of bullying when you were in high school?
I saw it all the time, often in the form of teasing or shoving around, ostracizing people.
My junior high, that we had a life skills student who had crutches and would be continually picked on. It was really nasty.
Well, actually, I have a very strong memory. When I was 13 years old, my parents moved us here. We immigrated from Britain. There was about a month left of grade 8, I think, and my parents decided that I should go to school for that month. And for whatever reason, there was a group of girls who just decided that that was an issue for them. And I really dreaded going to school every day for that last month. In fact, I said to my parents, why did you bring me to this crazy country? I want to go back to Britain as fast as I can. But we're not quitters in my family, so they told me I had to tough it out. It was a long 4 weeks.
So nothing was ever done to resolve the problem?
My parents eventually went to talk to administration. They talked to the girls. After a few weeks, the bullying stopped, but then it was a very lonely time because they weren't bullying me, but they also weren't talking to me. I guess the actual bullying stopped, but I still felt pretty isolated that year. Not very welcomed to my new country, certainly.
Well, you're certainly welcome here.
Why, thank you.
Well, when I was in high school, it was very different than things are now. There was a lot more bullying. Things would happen in school. There'd even be fights in the middle of the hallway occasionally. I remember one fight outside the staff room. Teachers didn't even look outside. Very different world.
We wouldn't bully as much as we just have flat-out fistfights. And if you went to the school that I went to, which is in a lower socioeconomic area, we didn't call it bullying back then. We just called it fights, and you just had fights about once every week.
Why did these fights take place?
Because at that time, it was thought to be socially appropriate to express your anger and frustration physically.
How prevalent was bullying when you went to school?
It was pretty much everywhere. Sometimes it was really subtle stuff, just putting people down, or sometimes it was really overt, pushing, shoving, punching. When I was in junior high, there was a guy who'd walk down the hallway, and if he was in a bad mood, he'd just punch people in the stomach.
This is Andrew Kyle here with
Mr. Cunningham.
For those who don't know, what is Pink Shirt Day?
Well, Pink Shirt Day sort of evolved into National Anti-Bullying Day, but it began when a young person who happened to be a boy went to school in a pink shirt, was bullied due to the fact that he was wearing pink. People in his school, his friends and supporters, wore pink shirts as well, and then that incident became more well known, and it's sort of grown into what is now a national event.
How do you think it compares to bullying nowadays?
I think the bullying nowadays has become much more sophisticated. Back in the day when there was no cyberbullying and all of that went underground, it was just up front, and it was a lot easier to deal with.
It's probably a bit more impersonal in the sense that the girls that were bullying me had to actually be there. They had to be present there. They had to, so I knew who they were. There wasn't any anonymity.
Whereas now it goes in cyberbullying, and you got to find IP addresses. And there's a great sense of anonymity. If you take a look at a movie called The Class Divided, and you talk to the kids about why they were bullies, because the whole experiment was set up to do with elementary school kids and how you could turn happy, well-adjusted kids into bullies. You could do that because you could create anonymity, and the anonymity creates courage.
The people who are sending out, images or words that are hurtful don't necessarily have to be accountable for that behavior, and I would suspect that makes it easier to do.
Just like now, I think it all starts with insecurity. People who are insecure, they look to attack others because of that insecurity, and we tend to focus on differences. Look at our humor. Most of our humor is based on making fun of other people. We may not do it maliciously, but in many ways, that's what it ties into.
I think bullying is far less pervasive now than it was then, and we're taking far greater action toward it now than we did then. So it's much higher in profile now, so it seems like it's getting worse if people are following it, but I think it's getting better. Awareness is so much higher than it used to be.
Well, nowadays, I think there's a lot less of it, much less visible, and if it does happen, it always happens outside of the view of a teacher, for sure. I rarely ever see any signs of it.
Are any special events happening?
There will be prizes on Wednesday for people that do show up in pink. I'm thinking something for everyone who shows up in pink, and perhaps something a little special for someone who's decked out all in pink. We're going to try to do a couple of little video clips early next week leading up to Wednesday in TA, so people will be able to watch those. But we're really trying to stick to the actual purpose, which is getting as many people in our school showing up on Wednesday wearing pink as possible.
Have you had any recent experiences with bullying?
No, not really. Haven't even had students telling me about it, to be honest.
Yeah, it's an ongoing thing, and in this school we still encounter some incidents of bullying, certainly resolvable through discussion and communication. Where we're having a hard time getting a handle on it is bullying out in social media.
Unfortunately, yes. My son has experienced bullying. In fact, he experienced it in kindergarten. So that's how early it can start. Just out on the playground, another kid came up to him and would grab him by the back of his shirt and pull him down to the ground and then laugh about it.
How is it resolved?
He knows now that he needs to let people know about it, that you can't just be quiet about it, because then there's never a solution. Let people know and get help, and that's what he did.
What would you like to see people try and do to get rid of bullying?
Well, first of all, if you see someone who's having a hard time and somebody's not being nice to them, stand up for them, walk them away. Make sure the person that's doing the bullying knows that that's just not cool.
What I would do is I would take kids from the cradle and I would start to give them improved self-esteem, because kids who are well adjusted and who have self-esteem don't need to feel better by picking on other kids to enhance themselves.
I think as human beings, it's just sort of natural to always see the world through our own eyes and to always be thinking about ourselves. And I think if we took a moment to realize that the person we might be saying something or doing something hurtful, they're also a human being with their own kind of internal narrative going on. And when we say these words offhandedly or we do these behaviors offhandedly, we can kind of move on, but we might not realize that they take those and take them in. That continues with them.
The biggest thing about handling bullying is, one, to know you're not alone. Bullies tend not to focus on single targets, if there are other people being affected, and so you need to go and let people know, and so you can get help, because none of us like bullies, and there are always people who are willing to help.
So maybe if we just started to really be aware of the fact that these are other people, they're not just a kind of props in our life.
Do you have any further comments?
I'm very proud of the way this school is handling bullying. I've come up behind students who have stepped in, other students to say, hey, that wasn't cool, or we don't do that here. I really like seeing that. I really like the fact that we have a culture here where people can come in dressed however they want to dress or behaving however they want to behave, and knowing that they're not going to get harassed for it.
Remember to wear a pink shirt on Wednesday and submit a picture of you, your family, your relatives, or your estranged guests to this social media, that social media, and even this one. Thank you, and as always, stay frosty.